Hey everyone, in this Sup with SAP video, we're going to explore procurement, but in a warehouse management environment. We've looked at procurement earlier this semester, but now we're going to add some additional steps to explore what it takes to be more specific about where we are putting things once we have purchased them. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step for procurement is the same as what we've used in the past. We're going to use an ME21N. And of course, this could be preceded by ME51N, where we would do a purchase requisition before we do an actual purchase order. But for today's example, I'm going to skip that step. And I'm going to quickly create a purchase order for something we want to buy in our San Diego plant. Since we're exploring warehouse management, we're always going to be using our warehouse in San Diego because it is the only one in Global Bike that is configured with warehouse management configuration. So you'll see after just a few moments that I have created a standard purchase order. I picked a vendor that was on the West Coast, in this case 112, and then my 3 digits for Redwood Kits. And I am buying 10 t-shirts, my t-shirts, at a net price of $15 per shirt for the San Diego plant. And if you wanted to, you could even add a specific storage location, trade goods for accessories like t-shirts and first aid kits and knee pads. Would be just fine. And so I could certainly do that here if I wanted to. And the header information hasn't changed from what we've done in the past. Our purchasing organization is still US00. Our purchasing group is still N00 for North America. And our company code is still US00. I'm going to go ahead and save my purchase order and proceed to our next step, which is also similar to what you've seen before. This is a MIGO. And we're going to do a goods receipt for a purchase order. And you can see that I'm just pasting in my purchase order from the previous step, clicking on our green checkbox to move forward. And this is where we're receiving the items from our vendor. And I'm just saying that they're okay. And if I hadn't already specified, I'd specify that I'm going to put them away in trade goods. So again, nothing new here. All of these steps are the same as what we would do with normal procurement in Miami or in Dallas. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. At this point, I'm going to break out of the steps you would need to take to complete procurement to show you a investigatory transaction to prove that things are a little bit different in San Diego than we might see in another plant. If I look at MB52 at this point, and I look at my shirts in San Diego, you'll see that I have 10 of them. And they are in unrestricted, so they look like they are available to sell. However, San Diego uses warehouse management, and it turns out these shirts are not actually in a place where we could sell them. And in fact, if we tried to go through fulfillment, we would get an error, and the system would tell us that we don't have shirts available for sale. In order to check to see if you actually have shirts available from your San Diego warehouse, you'd have to look at the bins that are in the warehouse. In this case, LX03. To look at our bins, warehouse is 100, storage type is 001 for shelf storage, and then I'd have to look at my various bins to see where those shirts might be, so I could do a wildcard search for my bins. But you'll see that all of my bins currently are empty, and that means that those shirts are not in the actual bins, and that's interesting. Where are those shirts? Well, there are only a couple places where things can be inside our warehouse. They can be in shelf storage, they could be in pallet storage, but they can also be in areas 3 or 4. And if you look at the names of those, one of them should be tempting. We have a goods receipt area, external receipts, area 3. That's probably where these shirts currently are, where they're hanging out, waiting to be put away. And we can go take a look at storage type 3. The important thing here is that our shirts are in this area and they're in a storage bin that is numbered the same as our purchase order that we just created 2 transactions ago. And so they're there in San Diego, but they have not yet been put away. They're waiting for that step. So we're going to go ahead and add our new transactions for warehouse management for procurement at this stage and put away the items that we just purchased and received from our vendor. The first transaction we're going to use for putting things away in a warehouse is LB11. LB11. And this creates a transfer requirement for a specific material. So you can see that because we just created a purchase order for shirts, some of this information is already filled in. Our warehouse is 100. The material we're going to put away is my shirts. The plant that we're going to put things away is San Diego. And I'm going to go ahead and click the green checkbox. And we can now see there are shirts that are in our warehouse, specifically in our purchase order box in the goods receipt area, that need to be put away. We are going to go ahead and click on the TO in foreground button. It doesn't really look like a button until you hover over it, but you can see this TO in foreground on the toolbar. We're going to go ahead and click that. And then we're going to do this in very specific order. Before doing anything, we're going to click a green checkbox. Notice that right now what you see are 10 stock placement quantities, 10 open quantities, and total TO items of 0, and nothing in the lower grid. I'm going to click the green checkbox, and you'll see that the open quantity changes from 10 to 0, and the destination target quantity now gets filled in with 10. In order to get the open quantity to change to a 0, you have to click the green checkbox before doing anything else. So your very first step should be clicking that green checkbox to move the open quantity down to the destination target quantity. For SUT column, you type nothing. For the type column, it's whether it's shelf storage or pallet storage. So I'm going to choose 001. For the section, the only section that's available to us is 001. You can't even search for it. You just have to type it. And then you need to type one of the appropriate bins for this item. If you're putting away a trade good, t-shirts, first aid kits, knee pads, it's STBN dash 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to do 1 dash your 3 digits. So you just have to remember that. And then you are ready to click the green checkbox to check all your work. And then you're ready to click the save button to create your TO. And you'll see a transfer order that's created towards the bottom of your screen. Before we proceed, let's go take a look at LX03 and see if anything has actually changed in terms of our bins. If I specifically look at my bin 1, where I'm going to put these shirts, and I execute, you'll see that shirts are in that bin. But if I click on shirts, you'll see that they're in a particular status. They aren't actually in total stock. They aren't available. They are in the stock for put away. So the system knows that you've created a TO. In this case, mine was 7001. Those shirts are waiting to be put away, but that hasn't happened yet. So we are halfway done the warehouse management step. The second step is the same whether we are pursuing procurement, fulfillment, or just warehouse management movement. Every time you're manipulating inside the warehouse, you're going to follow up your first transaction with the second transaction, and it is always going to be LT12. What LT12 does is confirm the transfer order that you just created. So in this particular case, I'm confirming my TO number 7001. I'm going to go ahead and click the green checkbox. You can see that where I want to put these shirts is in my bin 1. They're coming from a source bin, in this case based upon the number 45000288, which is my purchase order. I'm going to go ahead and click save, and that will confirm the movement. This doesn't create a new transfer order. This confirms the transfer order we created earlier. If we go look at LX03 at this point, and we check the bin where we put the shirts, we'll see that they're there. And if we click on that specific item, we'll now see that the total stock is equal to 10 and the available stock is equal to 10. They're not waiting to be put away. I've actually put them away. At this point, we're done with warehouse management for this specific procurement. We're not finished with the actual procurement process. You would still need to go through the steps that you would always do for a procurement. You'd have to do MIRO, M-I-R-O, and go ahead and enter in the invoice you'd receive from your vendor. And then you'd have to do F-53, which is actually sending the money to the vendor. Those are transactions you've seen before, so I'm going to do them very quickly just using a series of snapshots. For Miro, I pasted in my purchase order. I clicked the green checkbox. I entered today for the invoice date and the posting date, and the amount that I owed was $150, so I entered that in the amount area. And now you can see I have a zero balance, and I'm ready to save this invoice. For F-53, the date is today. The bank account is always $100,000. The amount, which we just saw in the previous transaction, was $150. The vendor who is owed that money, in my case, was 112 and then 000. If I go ahead and process open items, I owed that vendor $150. I'm paying them $150. Nothing is not assigned. Everyone is happy. I go ahead and save, and the purchasing is complete. So as you can see from this video, procurement involves a few extra steps for warehouse management, specifically LB11 to create a transfer order to put things away, and then LT12 to actually confirm that transfer order. Everything else is exactly the same as what you would have done for a normal procurement process. Warehouse management just adds the additional steps to make sure that particular items are put away in the appropriate bin. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.